Let's talk about planning and assessing instruction. Assessment of instruction requires several considerations. When a student's performance is poor at Tier 1, it means that classroom instruction must be assessed. In assessing classroom instruction, we must consider performance, we must consider the context, and we must consider the lesson plans. In performance, we must be able to analyze classroom data, and we must analyze also individual student data, including classroom work. When we consider context, we must evaluate and assess the overall environment, which includes the routines, the structures, the climate, and the overall dynamics of the group. When considering the lesson plans itself in the form where instruction is being provided, we must also consider what are the frequent opportunities for meaningful oral engagement that the students have? What are some of the organizational tools that are inputted in the lesson plan? And what supports are there that help content be available to students who have an L1? We must also think about building background knowledge and the overall tools for engaging students in the learning, such as visuals, realia, and all of the scaffolds that are available to help the student be successful. 4 principles must be kept in mind, and these are that English language learners have the right to equal educational opportunities. Also, students with disabilities have the right to learn in the least restrictive educational environment. It is true that all students learn differently, and also equity lies in how we deliver the instruction. So, in thinking about lesson planning, we must remember that lesson plan must include instructional scaffolds. Included in well-developed lesson plans are scaffolds that help make the content available in primary language, if needed by the student. The use of visuals, realia, to help students access content, build background knowledge. There must be frequent opportunities for meaningful oral engagement, offer the opportunity to offer peer support through collaborative groupings, and have well-integrated listening, speaking, reading, and writing activities. Lessons should be planned with the students that need the most scaffolds in mind. During delivery, teacher then can withdraw scaffolds for those requiring less scaffolds. To better understand this concept of bottom-up, let's watch the 7 to 10 split video on lesson planning. Now that you have watched the video, let's think of it holistically. So let's consider the 3 domains of lesson planning. We plan for academics. We keep in mind the social emotional connections within the instruction, and we think about the behavioral responses that we are looking for from our students. So let's talk about academics, right? These are the current learning environment factors. Okay, it is important that we consider the speech patterns that we are using during delivery of instruction: intonation, rate, repetition. We also must think about the experiences that students are gaining with the instruction in terms of manipulatives, hands-on activity, the movement that's occurring. What are the visual supports? Objects, gestures, graphic organizers. We must also offer students alternative ways to respond so we can ensure participation. This means that they can respond orally, but there are some students that may require different ways of responding, and this could be also with gestures or with drawings or with different ways of coming across. Flexible group structures are very important. We may opt for pairs. We may opt for 3 or 4 students in a group, and the idea of cooperative grouping is also very important. Vocabulary must be scaffolded to build students' understanding. These are important components of lesson planning. When we think about academics, we also must think about language development factors. Instruction is accessible to the student by using explicit oral and written models in the classroom, meaning that not only the teacher becomes a model, but we also gauge the group for other models that may be within the group. There are multiple opportunities for students to interact and collaborate. This is an important component of instruction. We must also think about other factors, such as, for an example, group dynamics. There are certain students that may exhibit certain personalities which require specific strategies in order to access them. These are important components of planning instruction. When we think about behavioral aspects of instruction, we are thinking of what can the students do not only in the process of learning but also in the process of being assessed for the learning, right? Behavioral supports include encouragement, frequent breaks, movement activities. It also includes that the students understand the expectations, that means that they know the routine and they know what's expected of them. So anxiety is very low. So all things that lower anxiety are expected to be built into the instruction. Also, opportunities for movement and sensory input are very important for the students. All domains of language, such as listening, speaking, reading, and writing, must be integrated consciously in the lesson. Okay, behavioral transitions also need to be thought of in a very methodical way, in a way that the students expect these transitions to come. The social emotional aspect is very important, particularly for students who come with a different primary language, with a language other than English, because the very factor of speaking a different language or knowing a different language may place them in a very different place as the students that are monolingual. So the safety of performance is important. Failure must be permitted. There must be opportunities to interacting with each other. Uh, as a teacher, I must be very conscious about the social clues, such as facial expressions, voice intonation, body position, etc. Tolerance and acceptance must be communicated at all times. There should always be a plan to support with self control, meaning that generally this is an area in the classroom that the students can go to, or a specific activity that they can conduct when feeling particularly anxious. Activities that help with self regulatory skills should be available. We should also make sure that help and assistance is provided when these are needed. Okay, um, voice modulation and the ability to listen to what the students need improve the social emotional climate in the classroom.